Hello, everyone. Today we're going to discuss two new things related to our firewall hardening processes. There is a couple of new features that we want to introduce to you, and we're having this in two different series for you to be able to make some determination of which ones you want to activate and if you want to pursue some of these new great controls that we can implement as part of your firewall management service. So the two services are going to be the inline CASB and the data loss prevention. Now, there's going to be some prerequisites for these two to actually work. The first one is going to be that you have to have a newer model version. So if you're running like a 60F or something that it has less than 2 gigabits of RAM, it will not work. So you need a newer model, which I know that a lot of you already upgrade to the newer models. The second thing is you will need to have a certificate in all the machines. This is something that we will be able to do with our tools, so don't worry about that, but this is something that will take a little bit of time. And then we're going to have to create new policies related to the controls that these two things are going to provide to you. So there's going to be some combination. Now, when we talk about specifically about CASB, and we're going to go to talk about that particular today, for inline CASB, all the SaaS applications that your organization is using currently, it may have some restrictions in what they can do, and not all the applications have the same level of controls. And when we talk about DLP, an important note, data loss prevention, is that you can customize some integration if you're using Microsoft Purview for any of the data labeling for data loss prevention. But for that, let's get to the subject of part one, which is today that we are going to talk about inline CASB. So some of you were saying, okay, what is inline CASB? How it can help protect my organization? So inline CASB is about deploying some granular controls about how your users are using the SaaS applications and establishing some specific ways of controlling how information is moving to them or other things related to the SaaS applications itself. So right now there's four things that you can do. You can do privilege control, which is actually going to help you to control if you want people to upload information, download information, share information, delete it, or even log in to some of these SaaS applications. This is the most common scenario, and this is where we're going to see some examples specifically more than anything else. The other one is safe search. So this will determine the level of search that people can do, like for example, in Google. The next one is tenant control and UTM bypass. Those two things do not apply for the majority of you, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time with those two controls, but I will just explain them very, very high level. The tenant control is for you to just make sure that only people in your organization from your environment can access your 365 tenant. The UTM bypass is specifically rules that you want to establish to bypass some of the normal security profiles that the firewall will have, like antivirus, filter, video, or web filtering. Again, not a very normal use today for you guys. So let's go through some examples of the privilege controls that CASB can give you. Let's say that you have some of your users, using Google Drive, and they're actually uploading documentation files from your environment to Google Drive. As you can imagine, that can be a case of data theft, and we want to control that. We don't want people to be, taking information from the company and uploading into Google Drive. So what inline CASB can do is for those computers that are behind the firewall, it can activate these and pretty much allow or block actions based in your controls. In this example, you are seeing a case where I am allowing in this policy people to download and access the app, but I'm not allowing them to share or upload files from the app itself when they are logging in the company. Another example in this case, two more examples, is one of OpenAI. So if you want people to not be able to use OpenAI, you can come here and just block the action because that may be a policy that you have in place that you do not want people to be using OpenAI when they are in the environment in the company. Another example can be Dropbox. Dropbox, in the privilege control, as you were seeing there, I'm allowing people to share, to change things, but I do not allow them to delete or to download files to their computers from the Dropbox. So as you can see, the level of privilege controls are going to be very dependent on the app. As you can see, there's a lot of options for Dropbox, not as many options in the case of OpenAI. The last example I'm going to give you for today is going to be about safe search. And this is more about, mature content that you want to make sure that your Google search are marked as strict when people do safe search. So you can customize this in a way that you will allow people to do searches in Google as they will normally do, but then you can restrict that when it has some explicit content in files, in videos, or in images that probably are not appropriate for the work environment. We're going to have a part 2 that's going to come next week about data loss prevention, but I wanted to give you the first part today so you can start thinking about this and have a conversation with us about how you can take advantage of all these, which are included in your services and in your firewall licenses. Thank you. Bye-bye.